What if I told you that there's an investment today that if you invest in it right now, today, in the next 7 years, it'll 8 to 8.5 fold. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but the opportunity is now there. If you guys are thinking what company this is Tesla. They just released Elon's new compensation package. This is the third compensation package that Tesla is giving to Elon on a performance basis. And let me tell you guys this, that no other CEO would accept what this package has. Now, of course, this is probably going to be the biggest payout in terms of stock in history, which is $1 trillion. But what needs to be achieved is absolutely insane. But this is Elon. Elon has bet against all odds. He has gone against everybody and he has won. As I mentioned earlier, this is the third compensation package, meaning the first two has been met and exceeded. I'm just putting it out there because this is a guy with a really good track history and a track record. And this third compensation package is insane. And I've already went live for it to explain it, but there's some interesting things that I do want to go over. So this video is going to get pretty darn juicy. So Tesla investors, get ready. Smash that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get down to it. Now, I'll get to my thoughts at the end of this video. I do want to go through some pretty important parts here. Now, this is Tesla milestone for Musk. CEO must obtain both a market value and operational milestone for each tranche of shares in award. So the first one is hitting 2 trillion and then 500 billion up until 6.5 trillion, and then it's 1 trillion and then 1 trillion. Now, the interesting part here is the operation milestones are absolutely nuts. Like if this was any other CEO, he would say, haha, you're crazy, you're insane. But this is Elon Musk. He likes crazy. He likes insane. And the crazy part is before this coming out to us to read about it so we can vote on it in November, Elon Musk has agreed to this. That's why it's us shareholders to vote on it, which is insane. But look at that. The operational milestones are 20 million vehicles, 10 million active FSD subscriptions, 1 million bots delivered, 1 million robotaxis in commercial operations. Now, interestingly, there's no milestones for energy deployments, but that's okay because we have this 50 billion in adjusted EBITDA, all the way down to 400 billion in adjusted EBITDA. I mean, this is insane numbers. Pretty much what the board is saying to Tesla, that look, you bring the valuation to 8.5 trillion. At the same time, you do all these operational milestones. Now, it doesn't have to be 2 trillion. At 2 trillion that you gotta do 20 million vehicles. This can be done if it's at 5 trillion or 6 trillion, right? Same thing with the 10 million active FSD subscriptions and the bots and robotaxis. It doesn't have to be at these market value milestones. These could be done at any time. For all we know, all this could be done when the valuation reaches like 6 trillion or 6.5 trillion, right? But this is the deal, that you bring the market value of Tesla to 8.5 trillion and you do all this and you do $400 billion in adjusted EBITDA net income for Tesla. Then you're going to get your compensation package. Now, that's not all it either. The last two tranches are tied to also a succession plan. Hey man, Elon, we know that your idea is to go to Mars and do all that. But before you go and do all that, make sure that you have someone who can take your spot after you do all these milestones. Because at that point, here's the thing. If Tesla's making $400 billion in adjusted EBITDA, that's massive growth. We got robotaxis and bots on next levels. And whoever the CEO is going to come, I don't think it's going to be much of an innovative CEO, much better than Tim Cook, but they will have an execution style like Tim Cook where they can probably increase this by another 50% or so, making it 6. I mean, it's insane, but that's the deal. That is the deal. And if you guys want to see what the stock price is going to be from the 2 trillion all the way to 8.5 trillion, here it is. 2 trillion is $620 all the way down to 8.5 trillion of $2,600 per share. Now, is that a coincidence? Because Cathie Wood said by 2029 or 2030, her stock price prediction is 2,600 only on FSD and robotaxis, not the bots. So coincidence? Who knows? Maybe the board did sit and they say that let's go based on this number if he can do it. But let's be more specific. $400 billion in adjusted EBITDA, do 1 million robotaxis, 1 million robots, 10 million active FSD, 20 million vehicles, get a succession plan down, all that. Man, I'll be honest, I don't know how they got Elon to agree to all this, but he's confident that this is going to happen. The negotiators at the Tesla board, my hat off to you. This was amazing. This is a really, really, really good compensation plan. And the fact that Elon has accepted, it's $1 trillion. That's a big carrot. Bring 7.5 trillion for shareholders and take $1 trillion. I think that's a great deal. And Elon thinks this is doable because he wouldn't have accepted. And I think it's going to be flipping awesome. Now, some thoughts here that I have is with the numbers Farzad kind of read my thought here somehow. He said that Elon's new compensation plan at the highest tranches implies a 21 PE at $400 billion adjusted EBITDA with a market cap of 8.5 trillion. Tesla's current PE is 200. Now, I don't think Tesla's going to be trading at 21 PE whenever they do 400 billion in adjusted EBITDA. Now, of course, 400 billion in adjusted EBITDA would mean probably 250 billion or maybe close to 300 billion in profits after all the EBITDAs. And it's crazy because I did an updated video on how many shares you would need of Tesla to retire off. And you guys can check the video here. It's for members only now, but it'll be public for everybody tomorrow. At the bullest ultra bull case, I got after EBITDA $300 billion in net income, which is kind of similar to what this is, which is insane. But I don't think 21 PE is realistic. A PE of 40 would make more sense, pretty much doubling Tesla's valuation of 16 trillion. Why? Because if Tesla is generating 400 billion in before EBITDA every single or in that 1 year, and we got the bots and robotaxi exponentially growing and the energy exponentially growing. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I think this has another 50% rise onto that, maybe even more, depending how massive growth that's going to be. Imagine the company is growing 20%, 15% year over year, because the numbers get smaller, but when they're making 400 billion at 10% is another 40 billion or another 60 billion if it's 15%, 20%, whatever. That's still a lot. Right now, Apple is growing 6% every year, only 6%, and they're at a higher, almost 35 PE. 30 PE, that doesn't make any sense. Why would Tesla be at a 21 PE? Nvidia is at 4.5 trillion. They're trading at almost at a 40 PE, maybe a bit more. So it doesn't make sense for Tesla to be trading at 21 PE when they're growing that much. A 40 PE would make sense at around 16 trillion, so they're doubling. And with Elon, when he hits these trenches, when he hits these milestones, it tends to double once that happens. You guys remember 2019, 2020? The second compensation package said that's hit 650 billion and take this much. Well, the stock didn't go to 650 billion. It went to 1.2 trillion. Then went back down to 600 billion, and now it's at 1.1 trillion. So that's my thoughts on this. And I really do believe that. Now, another thing I do believe is that you guys already know that my stock price prediction by end of this year is 575, and I'm not changing, and I'm pretty confident. Well, I wrote on X saying this: I can see Tesla hitting $620 by year end just by the new compensation package getting approved in November, therefore starting his incentive plan. My PT of 575 will not only be met but surpassed. Beware to see the PE double from now year end. Because think about it. In November, once we get this compensation passed, and I do think it's going to get passed. If you don't vote for this, you guys are idiots. Sorry to say that, but I think this is going to get passed. I'm very confident this is going to get passed. 99.69% sure it's going to get passed. But once it does get passed, I can see the market ripping Tesla, giving it to the 2 trillions. So it can start the incentives for Elon. Wall Street is going to love this. What I'm trying to say is that, and Elon's going to double down on this. And I do think that end of 2026 and onwards, we're going to see a good amount of robotaxi profits and revenue hitting the bottom line, which will bring the stock higher. So let's see what happens, but I'm pretty confident, and I do see this happening by year end. And some options traders are saying that they're seeing 600. Some are saying as high as 700, which is insane, or 930. I don't know. The numbers are insane. But that's what I think. And here's the thing. Here's why I think Elon agreed to this, because not only does he get what he wants, but it's and then some. Check it out. I wrote here that Elon will have 28.8% of voting power at Tesla after he completes these milestones, more than what he asked for if 2018 compensation is included. If not, it's 0.2% off, what he asked for, but I think stock buybacks will help with that. And I do 100% believe that Tesla is going to do a stock buyback. No doubt about that. Once they're printing a boatload of cash, I think over 4 trillion or 3.5 trillion, when the market cap reaches that means Tesla's making a boatload of money. I do expect to see some buybacks happening and doing that. And on top of that, the Tesla board is going to reward Elon the compensation package, the 2080 compensation package, through good faith. They already paid him 1/3 of it. There will be the other 2/3 of it coming later, whether or not it gets passed or not with the stupid corrupt court judge or whatever. But as you guys can see here, 28.8% with the 2018 compensation package and 24.8% without it. Nonetheless, this is exactly what Elon is asking for, and he's going to get it. And it looked like for Elon that this was fair. This was fair to him, and that's why he accepted. Now, of course, there's a risk here, right? If this doesn't get passed, I think there's going to be a tumbling in the stock, maybe going down 20-30%, because then Elon's going to go like, come on, man. Like, this is something that no one's going to accept. No other CEO is going to accept. And I think right now, that's the biggest risk right now to Tesla stock and, just Tesla right now. Because the board is very clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to get him committed in the company. They're trying to get him to be more involved in the company with all these are hard milestones that you need to pay attention on, right? So it's very clear what the board is doing, and I'm very confident that this is going to be passed, right? So there's two things that we have to pass in the vote coming up in November. One is Elon's 2025 compensation package, and the second one is XAI. We have to vote for XAI. Tesla must have some investment in XAI because it's going to grow like crazy. So these two are the important things. The rest I don't really care about, but these two are the most important things that we have to vote for, not against, but vote for it. If they're against it, especially Elon's compensation package, that's going to be a big red day. Probably not a Black Monday, not a Black Friday, probably a Black week or month for Tesla investors and the stock. And I'm pretty sure none of us want that, because that creates a lot of uncertainty. And after 4.5 years of the stock being flat, that's the last thing we want. So if you have Tesla stock right now only to vote against it, sell it, man. Just move on to another company, right? But I'm 99.69% sure that this is going to get passed, and it's going to be a sheesh moment, and it's going to be an awesome next 5 to 7 decades, not decades, 5 to 7 years of growth and prosperity, because that's where I think Tesla's going to hit the 8.5 trillion, go beyond that to 10 trillion. My price target by 2030 is 3,100, which is 10 trillion, or 3,125, 10 trillion in market cap. So let's see what happens. But this is pretty much, if you knew that you could 8-fold your money, 8x your money, this is the opportunity right here. Not financial advice, but the opportunity is now there. Make sure you guys check out this video on how many Tesla shares you need today to retire off Tesla stock. If you guys aren't a channel member, you'll get this video tomorrow, but get ready for that. Subscribe, guys. Become a channel member, only $2 a month. Then it's way of supporting me. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Let's go.